Today on the Pauline Chilton Show, we're joined by an inspiring husband and wife team who are doing more than just flipping houses. They're transforming neglected properties into beautiful modern homes while helping everyday investors earn passive income along the way. Danny and Katie Bloomfield are the powerhouse couple behind DKB Homes, a UK-based company with over a decade of experience in property investing. With a sharp eye for opportunity and a deep commitment to quality and community, they've turned overlooked spaces into thriving homes across Grimsby, Ipswich, and Scotland. Whether it's a high-yield house with multiple occupants or pad splits, Danny and Katie bring vision, strategy, and heart to every project. And they've built a business that works not just for them, but for their partners and investors too. Hi, Katie and Danny. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Thank you for having us. Thank you for inviting us on.
Good. Let's start with the beginning. How did you two first get into property investing, and what sparked the idea to go all in as a team?
Oh, great question. I think where it started is usually a great question, isn't it? But, let's go back to the beginning, forget about where we are now. We owned our own business. So property for us, or real estate, as you would call it in America, property was a pension for us. It was like a retirement plan. We had 2 or 3, maybe 4, as a retirement plan, as an investment. And when we started working together, we had another business, didn't we? And then COVID hit, dare I take us back there. And that business overnight became very challenged. So we worked a lot harder on the property side of things. We worked brilliantly together. So as soon as we started doing that, it just skyrocketed, didn't it?
Yeah, it really was. It really was that decision, or the situation around COVID that really we brought about. How do we get more in control over our future and what's going on, rather than relying on other things? And something that's always going to be around is property. People need places to live. Not everyone wants to buy or can afford to buy, and people need the rental market as well. So we knew that was a secure option and something that we could really scale. So we decided that was one of the businesses of a few that we're scaling right now. So yeah, it was a good moment for us in a tough time. It was a real gift, actually.
Oh yeah, I've known people who pivoted because of the pandemic and what happened to what was at the time their primary business.
Yeah.
And when the world shifted, everyone had to shift and change their focus and their perspective. So I believe that some amazing successes, including yours, came out of that situation. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely, I agree.
We just announced that we were expecting a baby, hadn't we, in March?
Yeah.
In March 2020. So we've got 6 children between us. So the 6th one was due in September 2020. So it was a time that we had to make some decisions. Everyone had to make some tough decisions around that time, didn't we? But you can either sit back and let things happen, or you can take control. So that was really what we'd...
Yeah, and like you've already mentioned, we already had our toe in the water with that. It was a long-term pension plan. It was utilising the profits from our business that we had at the time to invest in property for long-term capital growth, not really income so much, but long-term capital growth and security. So it was an easier transition to make because we already understood the markets or some of the markets that we were investing in, and we had a really clear idea about what we wanted to do. It was more the desire and the commitment to do that, and that was what came in that moment.
Mm-hmm. And so your approach is very people focused, from breathing new life into neglected homes to offering investors a hands-off income opportunity. What's the deeper mission behind DKB Homes?
Yeah, so I mean, you're going to put this in a much more eloquent way, but we're people. We love connecting with people. We like seeing the best of things. And I think actually when you dig deeper, everybody likes seeing that, don't they? So we work with people, so investors who know that there's money to be made from property, from real estate, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to actually do the thing, because that is where the time, the pressures, the stress comes in. So we offer them a hands-off return, and for none of the hard work. We do the hard work, don't we?
Yeah. I think the people part of it, like you've already said, is almost everything is about people in the world, isn't it? We were talking about Starbucks with a coaching client a few days ago. You buy coffee at Starbucks or any coffee shop, but actually their business is about people, providing meeting spaces for people. And their business is actually McDonald's. I think the largest part of their business is real estate, but they're known for their food. So I think it is about people. What we realise, Pauline, over time is where our core values are. What we're trying to do is create businesses that align with our core values and what we feel our purpose and vision is. So we're very aligned with that. And we realised from some a bit of a toxic business that we used to have, and culturally it wasn't the world we're in that industry wasn't great culturally, that it really didn't align with us, and it didn't feel great going to work every day and doing that. And we made a decision, and around COVID time as well, the same time as we decided to scale our property business as well as a couple of other businesses, that we didn't want to work with people that weren't good people. We wanted to work with good people, and everyone we worked with, could we see ourselves going out for a glass of wine with and a meal? And if we could, then it was a sign that they're good people to work with. And if we couldn't establish the thought of hanging out with them for an hour or two with a glass of wine or a coffee or a meal, then maybe that means something else, and that they're not quite the right people for us. So everything we're doing is about being role models for our children, being the best people we can be, really being a shining light in our communities, and pulling people together, no matter what part of the business that is in.
That's amazing. And the thought that came to me about what you're doing, allowing people the ability to be hands off and still invest in the properties with you while you're doing the work, is that a lot of people may not get started because of the risk. Sometimes it may be fear of failure. And when you're dealing with property, there's a lot of money on the line. It's a huge investment. So when people are investing with you, they're investing in someone who knows how to run this business, and they can feel confident that you will protect their investment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think because we already had our stake in the business first, it was built on top of our own money from the profits from the first business. So they'd seen us sort of go through it, hadn't they? Yeah. The people that we worked, they'd seen us start it. They'd seen us have the success at the beginning, albeit in a smaller scale. And then I think once we started to have the conversations about wanting to scale it, like you've already mentioned, there's a lot of money that's involved. So we try and reduce that and eliminate the risk where we can. Obviously, you can never eliminate it completely. Things happen. But I think where we wanted to then work with outside investors or bring other people in, they'd already seen us doing that hard work. So they already knew us on that level. But then, like Dan said, we don't work with anybody that we don't know on a personal level. And that might be that we don't know them to start with and get to know them. But we don't work with anybody in that capacity that we don't already know and trust.
Yeah, I think building rapport with people, that's the key to it. If we don't know them and they're through association of a friend or a family member that we know, it's how can we borrow trust from them? If that person trusts them, then that applies a degree of trust already. But how do we build rapport really quickly? And I think it's them seeing what we're doing and believing that that's and knowing that that's probably a simpler use for their money and a more secure use of their money. Because like anything, there's a process, there's systems, there's a science behind what we all do. And when you're investing in property, the key part of it is what you do before you've even purchased the property. what due diligence are you doing?
Yeah.
What risk management have you got in place? How do you know that you've sweated the due diligence in terms of what if the market drops by this percentage? What if this percentage of tenants don't pay me? What if this happens? And you run all of those stress testing models, and you're having a look at the data trends of what's happened in that area, on that street over the last 50, 60 years. There's so much that goes into it. And I think unless you're totally committed to do that yourself, it probably is a lot simpler and a lot more hands-off to have your money working harder for you in property, but through an investment company maybe such as ourselves when we're doing that. So we've in total in the last 4 or 5 years raised around $8 million. In terms of dollars, it would be about $8 million from private individuals, and we're working with about 4 million at the moment. So we've had cycles where people have then been repaid and gone off to do other things, or somewhere investors are just recycling it back into a new deal and another project. And some have been with us for 6-7 years. Yeah. Typically what happens, Pauline, is somebody will invest an amount of money with us, and then within 6 months they will do at least the same again. So they're looking at it and they're testing it, making sure that we do what we say we're going to do, and we're fulfilling that, and they can see what's going on. We invite all of our investors to come and see, either virtually through video tours or in person, what's going on, so they can feel like they're in touch with it. And then it builds a credibility and trust that they're comfortable to do more. But we're passionate about that. We're passionate about helping. Everything we do is how can we create a win-win. So it has to be a win for our investor as well as a win for us, and then a win for the end user, whether we're selling that property or we're renting that out to them. So how do we create win-win so everybody feels like they're getting a good deal out of this? And that's the sweet spot to always try and find.
Yeah.
And for some people that's different. It might be the amount of money they're getting back. It might be the speed. It might be that they want to see it's going into something that's good. A lot of our investors like seeing what's happening with the money, whereas if it goes into the bank or stocks and shares, that's sort of gone. They don't know what's happening with it. It's just lost in the bigger world, so to speak. Whereas with investments into what we're doing, they can see something developing, growing, improving. They're creating something with us, and I think that has a good feel-good factor for people.
Yeah, and that's powerful to allow someone to have the ability to see what their money is doing. Like you said, they can't see what their money is doing when they are putting it into the stocks, but to have that relationship, that interaction for them to actually be a part of it, it really allows them to be a part of it in a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've revitalized properties in Grimsby, Ipswich, and Scotland, each with a unique strategy. How do you evaluate a location, and what makes a property worth saving in your eyes?
It's a great question. Okay, so we've used different strategies. Okay, so we started with like buy-to-lets, so single buy-to-lets. I don't know what you'd call it. You just call it a letting, would you, in the US? So one house where we buy it, renovate it, and let it to one singular person, or be one dwelling. The next move for us was to move into the next layer of that, which is called an HMO in the UK. I think you'd call it a pad split.
Right.
So one house, we would renovate it into 5, 6, 7 bedrooms, where everyone has their own bedroom with lock on the door and usually a bathroom as well, but they all share the kitchen. What is it that, so we've got stringent, spreadsheets and analysis where we go through, because it needs to be, obviously it comes down to being a good investment for us, because otherwise that's how we need to get the investors on board with it. So it needs to work financially. The next ones, we've done some bigger developments as well now, where we've bought big buildings that are really run down, and they've got some kind of history behind them. They're usually like buildings that are just, they're amazing, or they would have been amazing back in their day.
They're significant in their area.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've utilised those buildings then by either turning them into apartments so that there's life in the walls again, you know, so because it's like they're just sitting there doing nothing. And, you know, we need more houses in the UK. We need more homes for people to live in. So that's where it really comes from, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a clear hunting brief for every part of our investment journey and what we're looking at. And certain parts of the UK work for some of those reasons. So, for example, a strategy of developing some land or a large unit into multiple units, so splitting it up and selling apartments, will work in some parts of the UK and won't work in other parts. And we know where that is based on our data analysis and due diligence. But the best rental yields that we get are further north up the country, where property prices are much cheaper to buy. The renovation and maintenance costs are similar, maybe a little bit lower, but pretty similar. And the amount of monthly rent we get isn't too dissimilar to other parts of the country where the properties might cost double, for example, for the same property. So we're then looking at hotspots there of what does the spreadsheet say? And we're looking at that to give us clues as to where to go. Then we're going to look for the right properties within that area. So it's all back to what is our purpose? What's the vision? What's the purpose? What's the outcomes we're trying to get? And then we work through the strategy and the numbers. And then we allow our emotional self to go in and go, that's a gorgeous building. It's really significant. Yeah. That would look great if done up, and it looks really sad and tired at the moment. Right, we know it works at that point, so we can then go and negotiate on that deal. So yeah, it's really working with both sides, the spreadsheet and the theoretical. Does this on paper, does it work? The hardcore numbers, does it work? And then we can allow ourselves to get a little bit more emotional and look at it. But when we're selling something, the building has to be beautiful. It has to be significant in the area. If we're renting it, then there's certain other criteria like I've talked about. And employment data, average wages, certain things like that, schools, that will all play into it if we're holding into our portfolio to rent. So we're looking at all sorts of different things.
What you described about renovating a significant property, I've seen some of those projects happen, and it takes years sometimes. But the thing about it is that when it is a significant property in that area or community, what happens is the neighborhood gets involved in watching that project as it progresses. It's exciting to see what was previously an eyesore. I've seen, mansions that had types of wood in them that were no longer even around because that type of tree was extinct, right? But someone put life and love back into that property and opened it up for the public to see and that kind of thing. And like I said, it brings excitement. The people are watching it. They are just thrilled to see this beautiful property come back to life. So that's such a great thing that you're doing in those places.
I agree. I think when you open the doors as such, we like to share a lot of the journey on social media and on our website, etc. And we like the local newspaper has had a couple of them in a couple of times, hasn't it? But the people who live along the same road, they've really, because they can see we're just real people. Mm-hmm. We're not a big corporation. We're very normal people with very normal children and a very normal life. We just drive a standard car, and I think because they see that, they get to know you, then they get on board with it as well, and they're really pleased. Like you said, that it's not an eyesore anymore. It's this beautiful building again.
And can you tell us a story about a particular project that was especially challenging but turned into something truly special? And also talk about what you learned from that.
Okay. Do you want to go? Tahiti House is going to be the one, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've just completed our first and our biggest development to date. And so it's a big, gorgeous house where a doctor lived in there and had a doctor's surgery at the back of the house as well. And there was servants' quarters and all sorts of things. And it was lovely. beautiful building, very run down and tired and unloved, been empty for about 8 years. And the whole legal process, the planning process in the UK is really slow and archaic. It creates lots of problems for developers. I don't know what it's like in the US, but that's what it's like in the UK. And the government have this drive for needing to develop so many new houses a year, which they miss by a long way every year, yet they make it extremely challenging for developers to put new properties, new buildings into the market every year. It makes no sense. It's madness. However, that is where we are. So we had some planning challenges. We thought we'd got planning when we bought it, and it had some conditions in there that weren't viable. So we then had to go through planning again. So we started building about 14 months after we thought we were going to be building. So the project should have been in and out in about 18 to 20 months, and we'll be in and out in just over 3 years. So building costs in that time have gone up considerably, wood especially, and it's happening again with all of the tariff stuff going on at the moment. The issues across the world with conflict is driving certain products and prices up. So what's protected us there, Pauline, has been that we bought a significant building on a really nice road that was very attractive. So as costs have gone up, so have the values of them. So we've been able to keep pace with both of those, have kept pace with each other. So it's taken more time, and whilst it's cost more money, the sale part of it, at the back end, we will recoup more money back. So we'll be about level financially. It's just taken more time. And there's been moments where that project has nearly broken us. We've wanted to walk away from it. We've had tears. We've had builder issues, and we've had to change builders. We've had planning issues. We've had break-ins there from local kids in the neighbourhood, and there's just been all sorts around it, and it's just been slow and a massive learning curve from us. Some we know better and won't happen again. Some things we couldn't really have foreseen, and it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. We love it now, though. It looks incredible, way better than we probably thought it was going to look, as good as we could have hoped. The product is excellent. The detail and the level of workmanship has been fantastic. So the whole community, like you've talked about, has been engaged in it, and we've held open days throughout the building process, so local neighbours can come and see where we're up to, what we're doing, and that's been really helpful to keep them involved. So yeah, it's been a huge challenge, massive learning curve. We probably wanted to stop it at least 10 times and just walk away.
I'd say more than that, Pauline.
Maybe more.
I've cried about it so many times.
I believe it.
A lot of, and I'm quite open about that. I mean, if your friends me on Facebook, scroll back, you'll see lots of tears on there. And I want to be honest about it, because there's big numbers involved when you're talking about property, real estate. There's big numbers. We own a significant portfolio. It doesn't come without its challenges, and I think anything that's worth having doesn't come without its challenges, does it?
That's right.
I think staying loyal to the purpose of it, and not sort of being swayed on that because the shiny penny as such. What was the purpose of us doing this? Let's stay to I know we spoke a little bit before we even started recording about our relationship, and when Danny said a minute ago it nearly broke us, this is the one thing it didn't break. No. And it didn't, it wouldn't have come close to that. And I think that's a really important thing to mention. Yeah. Because in everything we do, we put our relationship at the absolute pinnacle. Money's important. All the other things is all very important. But if we're not okay together, then what is it all for?
Right.
It's just going to break everything else in your life, isn't it? So
yeah,
we stay checked in very regularly with how we're doing, both individually and together. We coach and mentor a lot of people on their own businesses. We have the proven frameworks that they follow. which then do this, help their businesses to thrive and bloom as well. So.
Yeah, so let's talk some more about how you keep your business and your relationship strong. Because working with your spouse can be rewarding and it can be intense, and you're juggling so many moving parts with your business and your family. And how do you keep everything going strong?
Okay, there's a few different ways, and I think we'd probably be speaking until next Tuesday if we were to sort of share everything. But just as a sort of quick fire, I think there's one is like communication is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And clear roles and responsibilities, especially when you're working together. So we like to have this sort of, we remove the ego from a lot of things. It doesn't matter if I'm right or if Danny's right. Which one is right for the business right now? Which one is going to move us forward? So we remove that blame, that the ego. We also have a very strict no blame culture in not just our house, in our business as well, where the human race is very quick to point fingers and that's your fault. You did this, you did this, you did this. Okay. And we scrap that and we only want to know what was your responsibility in that? What did you do? Don't want to hear about what anybody else done. So that's quite as a quick fire, isn't it? As I said, we always keep our relationship at the very top of the tree, and we do that using a very simple strategy, simple rule. So we use a 7-7-7 rule. So every 7 days we take an hour, 10 minutes, whatever it is that we've got, to have a very short date, just us two, no phones, no kids. Could be a walk in the park, could be sitting out in the garden having a cup of coffee, but no one else around, no phones, just each other, just to bit of a reconnect, check in. We have 6 kids and multiple businesses that, every 7 days we commit to that. Every 7 weeks we go on a bigger date. Bear in mind that we've been married nearly 6 years, haven't we? So we still do that every 7 weeks. A bigger date, so an activity. We like an activity, don't we?
Yeah.
Spa day, something like that. So just one day. And then every 7 months, we go on a bit of a bigger, I'm going to say holiday, but a breakaway vacation for you guys. So a minimum of 24 hours.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to go to Egypt this year for 5 nights because we had the place for Bobby to be like have a sitter. And so just to keep our relationship at the top of the importance.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think like you said, there's no blame culture is key to it. We're very intentional about everything we do. So being really intentional about our own relationship and how we want that to work and what we want it to look like. We've got a really clear idea. We talk about it a lot about what a 10 out of 10 life looks like for us in our different life areas, and for our own relationship we know what that looks like, so, and what it feels like. So we've got absolute clarity on that, so we were able to pick up really quickly if we go off the beaten track a little bit. If we're on the wrong path, we pick that really quickly because we've got that clarity and we're able to pull it back. The other thing is we're an absolute team in everything we do, so there's winning and losing but together. So it doesn't matter whether it's Katie or whether it's me, whether I messed up or she messed up, or whether I got something done brilliantly or she did. It's just, okay, as a team, we're moving forward as leaders of our family as well as our businesses. We're just moving forward together. So there's no ego in having to be right. Because I think as business partners, couples, boss and employee, like just with people, we can spend so much negative energy arguing to try and prove that we were right, even if we've forgotten what we were arguing to try and prove we were right about. We just want to be the one that's right, so we try and take that out of the equation as well. So yeah, we try
and keep it fun, Pauline, as well. Like I think there's a lot of couples who work together, they lose the fun because it's always talking about business or money or goals or whatever else, whereas if you just our main goal is to stay happy and stay connected with each other and still play together.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. And so you've worked with many different partners and tradespeople. How do you build strong relationships with them in an industry that sometimes can just feel too transactional?
I think it's the same. It's the same way. I want to kind of say that from the beginning. It's the same. It's exactly the same way, because I think it's an attitude thing, attitude and commitment to keeping that attitude. Like, even when things get difficult, and there'll be times when you kind of need to maybe get a bit more headstrong about certain things. I mean, I can be stubborn as hell, but I don't know why you did that for, but I think building those relationships is one of those things, and a lot of that starts with self-awareness and starts with kind of educating yourself on how you're communicating, and as well staying clear on the purpose. Like, if the purpose is for tradesperson and us to work together, right, we need to get this finished. How do we both do it? So it's a win for us, win for you, win for that. So it becomes the three-way win as such, doesn't it? So all parties are happy with what the transaction is.
Yeah, we've got a real clear identity about each of our life roles that we play, how we want to behave in those. So as parents, what sort of a parent do we want to be? What sort of a partner do we want to be for each other? What sort of a boss do we want to be? What sort of a friend, son, daughter, all of them. We've actually worked through that. So again, we're really clear about how we want to behave in certain situations and what we want to be, do and feel like. And then it's about just creating that connection with that person and building rapport as quickly as you can. And when you feel like it's not quite right, one of the things I've had to work really hard at, and Kate's really taught me about, is being really open and transparent with how you're feeling about certain things, and saying that quite early on to nip something in the bud or bring it to light to have a discussion about. Although that can be uncomfortable at times, actually it's way better to get it done and resolved, and either move on in the sense of, okay, can we work through this and move on, or can't we? And not wasting time or energy and negative energy and some emotion around that sometimes, that can drag on for months, and then resentment builds and issues start building. Then it feels all horrible. It's okay, anything happens, let's just try and communicate, deal with that really quickly in a really kind and friendly way, and then we can decide to move on or not. So yeah, communication, connection and rapport, key things.
Very good. A lot of people dream about investing in real estate, but they don't want to be landlords. How does your private lending model work? And what's the benefit for the everyday person who is looking for passive income?
Okay, so I suppose first off, we have to be careful about how we put this across, because within the UK there are regulations from the Financial Conduct Authority that mean that we can't just work with anybody. We have to certify those as being high net worth individuals or sophisticated investors. And so once we've done that, what we do is the model, tripping over my words now, the model that we work on is whereby it's a loan agreement. So somebody who has capital, they know that there's money to be made from property, but they don't want to be landlord, like you said, they would lend our business the money. Our business buys the property, renovates and holds the property. And then once that's been refinanced, we then pay back the investor their capital. And so they then have the capital plus the return or the interest on top of that. And that's what we do, but we do that on a model where it keeps rolling. So we just keep buying the property, and majority of our investors want to keep in. Yeah,
because they've got the capital, they want to they want to get it working hard and earn some good returns on it. They don't want to be landlords and have the issues that landlords have, and the noise and the phone calls and that constant keeping on top of stuff. They like property and see it as a good asset class to invest in. So it kind of, they're the people really, and that works well. And we then take some time, as you might have guessed by this conversation already, to understand what's their objectives, what do they want out of it, what do they want it to look like and feel like, what are their goals, do they want to earn a certain amount of money from that, or that might then gear towards how much they want to invest and what they're comfortable investing or not investing. So we really try and make it personal to them and what that looks like, and then come up with a model. Do they want their interest payments made monthly, or do they want them annually? So it's bigger lumps but less frequent. Again, personal situations are different, and we try to work in a bespoke model like that. There's obviously certain frameworks and process and protocols that we follow. Is the same for everybody, but it's very much what do they want out of it? What deals have we got going on, and how can we find a way of moving forward so we're both winning out of it?
Yeah,
that's great. Katie, Danny, thank you so much for being here today. Can you share your links for the audience who might want to reach out to you or find more information about what you are doing and working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're usually hanging out either on Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, Katie Bloomfield, Danny Bloomfield. We're the ones with the blue ticks so that you know that it's us. Or Instagram is at Danny and Katie Bloomfield. We've got a joint one there. What we would love to gift to your listeners, if that's okay with you, is a playbook that we don't charge for. It's already helped hundreds of people, and it's called Your Wealthy Life Playbook. So it focuses on 5 pillars, because we believe that a wealthy life is one that's focused on far more than just money. So there's the 5 parts of what we believe is your wealthy life, and we would love to gift that to you. We'll put that in the show notes, if that's okay.
That would be great. I really hope that the listeners find that to be valuable and helpful and help them to improve what they're working on. So that would be great. All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. Same here. Thank you so much for joining us for this inspiring conversation with Danny and Katie Bloomfield. If their story sparked interest in your property investing or just got you thinking about what's possible when passion meets purpose, be sure to visit DKB Homes Limited to learn more about their projects, their investor opportunities, and the incredible transformations they're making across the UK. As a special gift to the Pauline Chilton Show listeners, Danny and Katie are offering a free downloadable resource to help you get started on your own property journey. You can grab it now. The link will be in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the Pauline Chilton Show on YouTube, or listen on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. You can also support the show by using our affiliate links for Adobe and Descript, the tools we use to bring these conversations to life. Until next time, stay curious, take inspired action, and remember, real change starts with one bold step.